Welcome back to another week, the second installment of Monday Night with Dor. And tonight we're going to go into round 11. And what a diabolical round it was in regards to injuries. So we're going to discuss all that. Go into how our buy, hold, sell players went from last week that we recommended for you guys to buy, hold, or sell. Uh, go through each fantasy game or basically through the games and give basically our fantasy takeaways from each game. Then we'll go into all the injuries. There's been an absolute mass amount of injuries coming out of the NRL world or out of round 11 over the weekend. So that is definitely something that we will discuss. And then we'll just touch on our team in regards to this week, the first major buy round in round 12. And then we might also just quickly add on the end a bit of Origin talk. The Origin teams got announced this morning and yesterday, so it will be good to just touch on those and sort of get your guys' thoughts on what your thoughts were on the team. But look, without further ado, let's get straight into our buy, hold, sell players from last week. So, look, our first buy, hold, sell option from last weekend, I believe, was one Herbie Farnworth was our first major player to get into your side. Look, 767K, and look, he did get a bit of junk time meat pie at the end there, but look, 68 points. That is absolutely delicious in a very weak position in the center position. So 767K, 68 points, average of 59.8 points, a break even of 49 this week. Look, if you need a center, I'm not going to go on about him any more longer, basically, or much longer. Just get Herbie into your side. He's a great option, one of the elite options at the center position. Now, if we move on to the next buy, it was his teammate Isaiah Katoa, 746K. Break even of 34, and he got 76 points last week. What an absolutely spellbinding performance from Isaiah Katoa. And look, just like Herbie, they don't play the bye round, so he is a really good option to get into your side this week, especially if you need a half. So look, if you didn't get Katoa last week, you need a half. Get him in because he is a serious gun. On to the next man, the man that replaced Matt Nicholson as the starting back rower for the Canberra Raiders in Zach Hoskins. Zach Hoskins, should I say, scored a meat pie. Look, 52 points from Hoskins, break even to 38. So there's definitely some more cash gains to come. Really good, solid option. He will play this week. They're versing the Warriors over there in New Zealand. The only, I guess, really thing which was a bit of a bummer is that he didn't play 80 minutes. Only got the 68 minutes, as you can see on the weekend, but scored a try, looked really good. I think that there's some great scores to come from Hosking, as well as some money to be made right there with him. On to the next option, Jacob Saifidi. Look, we did say in the chat before the game, we got rumors from Buzz Rothfield that Jacob Saifidi was going to be picked in the Origin side over the likes of Stefano, Max King, and Tyrrell May. And as you could, unfortunately for Saifidi's sake, he actually got injured, did his calf injury, or did his calf, should I say, and he'll be out, I think, for at least 3 to 4 weeks. So I'm very unfortunate there if you got Saifidi in. But it was looking very much likely that he was going to get the spot that Max King has actually got on that New South Wales Blues bench. So we wish Jacob a speedy recovery. And yeah, we're sorry about that. We tried our best to give you guys as much notice with that Origin news. And then unfortunately he got injured as well. So not much we could really do about that. Couchman, he didn't play over the weekend due to injury, but he should be back in a couple of weeks. Dragons don't play this weekend. He'll miss next week and then should be back the week after in round 14. So definitely one to hold on. Look, Ruben Garrick, he actually did very well in a game that was very scrappy. He got 57 points, break even of 49. Really good performance from Ruben Garrick as Manly basically got their season back on track with a great victory over the Cowboys there. But yeah, 601K, 57 points. I think Herbie's definitely a better option than Ruben Garrick for your center position. But look, if you want someone a bit cheaper, Ruben Garrick is a great option, as well as he also has the dual flexibility as well. On to the next man. Look, another one that didn't play. That was due to the bye. Tom Jenkins. So he'll be a great option this week. Should play and get a really good score this weekend. Isaiah Yo, again, look, we had him as a sell. Pardon me, he didn't play last week, and he has been named as the lock for New South Wales. No surprise, as well as the skipper. So he will definitely not be playing this weekend for Penrith. And like we discussed last week on this show and our other podcasts, look, I think Isaiah Yo is definitely the one that has to go. You've got to hold on to those guys like Payne Haas and Tyrrell May. Tyrrell May actually is the first player this season, I believe, to get to the $1 million. So congratulations, Tyrrell, and what a performance he put in on the weekend. Next man was Matty Nicholson. Very straightforward. Look, Hoskins came in, did a really good job. Can't complain there. So, yeah, Nicholson's out for 12 weeks. He was definitely a sell. Another man that was a sell is Greg Marzhew, out for 4 to 6 weeks. So he was definitely a sell as well. He didn't play. And, yeah, I think Fletcher came in on the wing there for Newcastle on the weekend. Fletcher Hunt, that was the one. Fletcher Hunt and Fletcher Sharp. But yeah, Fletcher Hunt made his debut and replacing Marzhew and didn't have the greatest game. But look, he showed a lot of ticker in that performance there. So look, unfortunately, things aren't going very well for Newcastle, but we will discuss that shortly. And that was our buy, hold, sell from last week. So look, pretty good overall. I can't really say that we did bad. Yes, our sells were very straightforward and very self-explanatory, but our holds there of one hold that actually played last week of Ruben Garrick was really good in a pretty average game there in that Manly Cowboys game. So good on you if you either held Ruben Garrick or if you got one of those buys in outside of Saifidi. All right, so that was our review of our buy, hold, sell from last week. So let's go into the key fantasy takeaways from each game over the weekend. So starting with the Friday night, first game on Friday night, should I say, is from the Newcastle Knights and the Parramatta Eels. Look, Newcastle continue to really, really struggle this season. And look, if you look at the fantasy points as well, they did struggle on that front as well. Look, Zach Lomax, wow, he was just absolutely phenomenal in his first game back from injury. 271 run meters, 2 tries, 4 goals. He did everything. I don't need to go into all the stats, but unfortunately, the Eels do play this weekend, but Lomax has been picked for the Blues, same as with his teammate Mitchell Moses, 62 points from him. In an 80-minute stint. Look, really good from Moses as well. Great kick meters. But again, just like Lomax, unfortunately, he has been picked to play Origin, should I say. Jackie Williams. Look, he's a bit of a surprise packet, Jackie Williams. Look, Parramatta signed him this season from Cronulla, and he has gone out there, especially on the weekend, 62 points. He was predominantly playing out on that other edge, not Katonga's edge or Katoga's edge, on the other side there with the vacancy with, I think it was Matt Dory, I believe. And yeah, he put in an absolutely terrific performance. Would I really be saying go and buy Jack Williams this week? Look, it's a bit risky, but I don't hate it. But I think we're probably going to see we're not going to see him get 62 points this weekend. So definitely one to watch over the coming weeks. If he can get those high minutes, he normally does pretty good. And if Newcastle continue to play this Parramatta continue to play this well, pardon me, he will continue to do well. Look, Kai Pearce-Paul, we touched on him in buy, hold, sell a few weeks ago, someone to get into your side. He's doing that no harm at all. Newcastle's best player. He did also get sent to the sin bin, so he would have gone better than that 58. Probably would have got somewhere in the regards of probably like 64, 65 points. So absolutely terrific considering. Probably would have got more than that actually because he had 10 minutes off the field. He probably would have got like 70 points. He probably would have topped the scorers. So, look, Pierce Paul, great option if you need an edge. One of the best actually. Katoga, look, it was great. We actually got him in the first week and he had an absolute stinker. But he has been terrific of late, Katoga. He got 55 last week, or sorry, not last week, the week before last, and then 58 on the weekend. He is starting to find form and a really, really good center option if you need one that is obviously a bit cheaper than the likes of a Garrick or Herbie Farnworth, as per se. Look, Dylan Brown had a really good performance. He's starting to really find his feet, especially with Mitchell Moses back. Look, 52 points, 39 break even, no Moses, pardon me, this week. So unfortunately for Dylan Brown, I would be staying away, but definitely one to monitor. The one man that I do want to touch on, and he has been really, really good, is Josh Adokar. He has been in absolutely terrific form for Parramatta of late. He's got 58 points in round 7, 68 points in round 9, 59 in round 10, and then 50 on the weekend just gone against Newcastle. He is really, really, really playing well. You can see here he's getting a lot of tackle busts. The run meters are looking really good. A few line breaks as well, and a couple of meat pies as well. To see him getting scores like 59 and 50 without any sort of without any tries is just unbelievable. It's really like the Fox of old back in the day. So look, yeah, if you need a bit of a cheap pod wing fullback, he's in 2% of teams. Josh Adokar could be that guy. And you could go straight from, if you've got a bit of money in the bank, you could go straight from this man, Kalen Ponga. Was definitely better than he has been, say, the last few weeks. But look, Ponga, 43 points, break even of 40, playing Origin. Look, if you need a wing fullback, I think Ponga has to go, potentially get him back when he starts to flick the switch after Origin. Dylan Lucas, look, 42 points. Unfortunately, with the injury to Bradman Best, Dylan Lucas was the one to make way, the one to move into the centers, should I say. So 42 points from him. Look, not the greatest, unfortunately, but hopefully if he's right to play, he did suffer a bit of an AC or shoulder injury. So he's going to be touch and go if he's going to play this week. So we'll see what comes out of TLT tomorrow, but he could be out. What else? Riley Smith, another player that unfortunately came off early due to injury. Lucas came off with like 4 minutes to go. Smith came off with around 10 minutes or with 10 minutes to go, should I say. Look, 38 points. That's a really solid performance from Smith. Probably would have got around a 45 to 50 at least if he played the full 80, which he probably would have done if he didn't suffer that cork to the calf. So from what I've been hearing out of physio and from the NRL physio and Parramatta land is that Riley Smith should be good to go this week, just a cork to the calf. So that is really good news as we got in Riley Smith last week. Look, unfortunately for Hopgood, he is really, really diminishing his stocks. 554. It's just really the minutes, only playing 48, 50 minutes every week. Look, I'd be selling if you have him and definitely not buying. We need to see Hopgood back to playing 80 minutes if you want to potentially pick him up. Fletcher Sharp didn't have the greatest game. I think he got a cork to the quad, I think. I'll have to double check these injuries, which we'll touch on a bit later. But yes, Fletcher Sharp, look, 31 points. Didn't have his best game. Missed 5 tackles. Certainly doesn't help. And look, Newcastle were insipid as well. So 31 points for him. He'll definitely bounce back this week. A little bit of concern if he'll be fit to go, but I think he'll be right. Lucas, on the other hand, I think might be out. Saifidi, we just touched on before. He unfortunately injured his calf in that game. 31 points for him. He only played 41 minutes due to the injury, and he's out 3 to 4 weeks. So unfortunately, I think if you have Saifidi, he did have calf issues in the start of the season. I think Saifidi is unfortunately a sell. Now, Thomas Cant, definitely one to watch over the coming weeks. Definitely didn't play very well on the weekend, just gone, but definitely can bounce back. Not a buy with that break even of 62, unless you really need an edge, but I'd much prefer Kai Pierce-Paul over Cant. But definitely one to watch with best set to miss, I think, around like 4 to 6 weeks. So I'll have to double check that diagnosis in regards to how long Best is out. But look, can't it looks like he could be starting second row. And if Lucas continues to play center, look, he got 40 points. He's probably going to get 50 points playing in the centers. And plus. So look, definitely one to hold on to. And then Kant is one to watch. In regards to fantasy news, the only other real player that we need to touch on is Iongi. Definitely could be one to get rid of after this week. 23 points on the weekend, break even at 31. Definitely one to watch, but he plays, this weekend. So in round 12. So definitely, I think he is a hold. You need as many numbers as you can get over this weekend. And congratulations to Parramatta. They've really started to get it going. They were defensively very strong to start the season. They just couldn't really score points. And now Moses has come back. Wow, he's really made a difference. They're starting to win some games as well as put some points on the board. So congratulations, Parramatta. Now on to the next game, the Bulldogs versus the Roosters. Big takeaways here. Marky Mark, exceptional performance from Marky Mark. 67 points and scoring one of the great individual tries of the season and potentially in the last decade. So that is a really, really huge upside for us as well. As we own Marky Mark, we've held him these past month or so. So look, 67 points from him, break even at 19. You can definitely get him, but I don't think he's one of those players that you need to rush out and buy. Now, Connor Watson, the next man, unfortunately is playing for the Blues, has been named in the Blues there as the utility role. And as you can see here, he could back up next week against the Raiders, but then they miss the week after that. They've got a couple of buys coming up. I think potentially you could be better off moving Watson to maybe if you wanted to downgrade to someone like a Jazz Tavanga, or you could, if you haven't got Aaron Clark already, move to him. But if you want to hold Watson, as I said, he does play that round 13 after the bye, after Origin. I don't see him playing that many minutes in Origin that he's doing week to week. Like, he's definitely not playing 80. I think he's probably going to play around 30, 40 minutes, I'd say, in Origin. So, look, he should back up. Max King, unfortunately, I don't think he's a sell. He's definitely a hold, but if you were banking on him playing this week, unfortunately, he has been named on the bench for the Blues. So, yeah, up to you whether you want to hold or sell. I would hold if I did own Max King. Matt Burton, look, he is a solid option here. He didn't get picked on his usual 18th man jersey that he has got for the Blues the past few seasons. But look, 56 points from Burton, break even of 41. Definitely a solid option here coming up this weekend. They've got I believe, the Dogs. Who they've got? Let me just see here. They've got the Dolphins on Thursday night this week. So definitely an option, man. Look, he's definitely a lot cheaper than Isaiah Katoa. Katoa's a bit more expensive. I don't mind it. I think Burton is a solid buy option this week. Good kick meters, as you can see there. Sexton's really started to hit the back burner in regards to kick meters. Only had 44 last week. We saw a couple of Burton bombs. I think Burton's starting to get into it. Look, the Dogs are 9-1. They came back from 14-0 down in this game. Great option. Mick touched on this man. Mick and I actually touched on this man last week in the buy, hold, sell in Viliami Kikau. Look, an absolutely a great performance from Kikau. If you can get rid of those missed tackles, look, that is going to be very juicy. But he is playing very well this season and really should benefit against the Dolphins this Thursday night. So, look, I don't hate the Kikau option. I think Pierce-Paul is slightly above him, but I don't hate Kikau as an edge option this week. Look, Reed Marnie, 45 points. If you got Reed Marnie, definitely just hold on to him, but I don't think he's really a buy. Sua Wong, if you still got him, hold on to him. Same as with Sandon Smith, 44 points for Sandon Smith. He's definitely a hold. Now, this one is going to be a bit of a interesting topic in Robert Toyer. Played 10 NRL games and has been named to make his Origin debut. I'm absolutely wrapped for Robert Toyer. Look, he hasn't set the world on fire in every game, but he's been really, really solid in all the games that he has played with a couple of really standout performances. I think he'll absolutely kill it, and I wish Toyer all the best next Wednesday night. But look, in regards to fantasy wise, it's a bit of a touchy one because he's probably going to play 80 minutes, I'd say, for the Maroons. I think he could be potentially a sell unless he's going to back up. Look, with a break even of 15, I think you just hold on to him. Probably the buy of the week. Everyone was wondering, was Tedesco going to be picked for Origin? He hasn't been picked for Origin, so I think that Tedesco is really, really ripe for the picking. Potentially, yeah, like I said, the buy of the week this week for round 12. 43 points, break even of 46. Well, I think Teddy's going to come out with a point to prove and really, really set the world on fire. Look, Kiraz, he played the whole 80 minutes, but unfortunately suffered an injury. I think it was a calf injury, and he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. As much as it really, really does suck, I think Kiraz is a sell. And you could go straight to James Tedesco. That's probably what I would be doing there. And we'll have to get Kiraz back later in the season once he returns from injury. Look, if you still got Angus Crichton, sell. I don't need to explain that one much in much more depth. Lindsay Collins, 41 points from Collins. Not really fantasy relevant, is playing Origin, but that was great to see Collins come back with a bang. Harry Hayes is starting to get a bit more minutes. Hayes is starting to get a few more minutes on that edge there. But look, Preston's back in a couple of weeks from that suspension. So, yeah, definitely I don't think going there. Kurt Mann's been named for Origin, so we don't want to touch him. Nafu White. Now, this is one that we need to touch on. Unfortunately, I believe he's out 3 weeks for an MCL that he suffered late in the game on the weekend against, obviously, the Bulldogs. So 3 weeks. I think Nafu White, if you haven't got someone like a Joe Tarpany or an Adam Fanua-Blake, or potentially you wanted an edge, someone like a Kai Pearce-Paul, a Hosking, a Kickow, a bit of a pot option, I think you could definitely go to one of those guys. But I think out for 3 weeks, I think Nafu White could be a sell. He'll only miss 2 of those, so he'll miss this week and next week because the Roosters have the bye in round 14. So, yeah, up to you really what you want to do there, depending on what numbers you have for this week in round 12. Remember, only 13 players play this week. So in your starting 13, they need to be in your starting 13 to play. So just remember that. Billy Smith, it's time to go, blood. I think Billy Smith has to go if you still own him. I think go to someone like a Josh Addo-Carr, or you could downgrade there to maybe a Tavanga or something like that. Not really that many good, cheap wing fullbacks. So if you want to hold on to him, you can, but I would say sell. Look, Savala didn't have his greatest performance, but he's still got a low break, even a 9. He also plays this week. So very simple there. Hold on to him. Look, Connor Tracy's had a few really, really good games fantasy-wise, and then a couple of average ones like last week. 24 points. Yeah, I don't think going there. He's just a bit too hot and cold for my liking. Stephen Crichton's definitely been good outside of last week, but unfortunately, yeah, he only got 20 points. So I think he had 60 or something in that comeback against the Raiders. So, yeah, stay away there from Stephen Crichton. He's also playing Origin as well. Now, on to the next game. Well, the next game here, should I say, is not that game, is this game here. The Dolphins took on the Warriors. Look, the Roosters, just to sum up that last game, the Bulldogs, again, coming back 14-0 down to get the win. They're really, really playing well this season, only suffering the one blemish there against the Broncos. But look, good on the Doggies, 9-1. hopefully for their fans, they can continue it. But look, the Roosters are starting to look good. They're starting to find form. And yeah, look, they're playing really good football. So they weren't able to beat the top of the table Bulldogs, but they probably would have beaten a fair few other sides on the weekend with the performance and how they played. On to this game here, the Saturday afternoon game. The Dolphins took on the Warriors there at Suncorp. Warriors were able to get the win. Bit of another scrappy affair. There was a few scrappy games on Saturday. And look, just like we touched on in our buy, hold, sell chat just before this, is Isaiah Katoa, 76 points. Absolutely phenomenal performance from him. A great option. We went into detail about him before. Plays this week, but unfortunately doesn't play next week. So just take that into consideration if you're going to get the likes of, Isaiah Katoa or Herbie Farnworth. Both of those guys will play this week, but won't play next week. Aaron Clark, wow. I don't need to say much more about Aaron Clark. He has just been exceptional, looking like a keeper for the rest of the season at that lock position. We were a bit slightly worried about Fisher Harris coming in and taking some minutes, but he really didn't. 72 minutes, and he's only going to get around that or potentially even 80 minutes this week. He's a great captain option this week in round 12, Aaron Clark, with Mitchell Barnett playing for the New South Wales Blues in next week's State of Origin. So we'll miss this game. Look, Fisher Harris, 52 points, but unfortunately, I believe he did get suspended. So we just have a look here. I'm just going to try and find the judiciary award if we can. I don't know if it's been... Yep, so Fisher Harris is actually out. He's been charged, as you can see here, and he's taken the guilty plea. So look, holy hell, Aaron Clark, he is a stunning option this week to get into your side if you haven't, or if you do have him, to captain. Unfortunately, Fisher Harris did have a solid game in his return, but yeah, he is suspended for this week. Metcalf continues to plot along nicely. Halaseema's not too bad. He's going well as well. So if you want to pick him up, feel free to do so. Who else have we got here? The Hammers obviously playing Origin. I don't really think Laban scored a try, so we're not going to see that. I don't really think there's C&K like we predicted last week. He's gone hot, cold, and that was his cold time on the weekend. So he probably bounces back with a lovely hot performance this weekend. It was good to see RTS return from injury, 491K for RTS, 26 points, break even of 46. I think we'll give RTS a couple more weeks before we consider getting him in. I don't really think there's anything else to take away from that game apart from the injury, suspected pec injury for Tom Gilbert. So that is not good. Wasn't good news for Queensland, as he was probably going to be named in the Queensland squad that didn't get named. So look, if you've still got Tom Gilbert, he is unfortunately a sell. But look, the Warriors sort of dominated this game basically until the last bit of passage, let's say the last 10 minutes there, and the Dolphins really finished strong, but unfortunately just couldn't score enough points there to get over the top of the Wars. So congratulations to the Wars, having an absolutely outstanding season considering the losses and whatnot that's happened to you guys. So congratulations, Wars. On to the next game. The Cowboys took on the Manly Sea Eagles. Look, this one was very sloppy performance here from both sides, but Manly came out the better there. And Ben Trbojevic, an absolutely outstanding game, from Ben Trbojevic, 73 points, scored a try, 31 tackles, played the 80 minutes. Look, I'm not going to say go out. I don't think go out and buy Ben Trbojevic, but he's definitely... Look, if he continues this for a couple of weeks, he could be an option. But I'd rather the likes of a Kai Pearce-Paul, a Kickow, a Lucas, potentially even one of those other guys like an Aaron Clark, or one of those guys will do a good job for you, and I think will be a bit more consistent. I think that was a real outstanding performance from Burbo, but I don't think you're going to get that every week. Corey Waddell, 58 points. Look, I don't think he's going to get that every week, all those minutes. So yeah, I don't think don't get Corey Waddell in. I think this is just a one-off performance. Ruben Garrick, like I said, he's a solid performer. He's always been a good fantasy scorer. Very solid option. We did discuss him earlier as he was one of our holds. So yeah, look, you can't go wrong with Ruben Garrick if you wanted to get him into your side. Jazz Tavanga. This is the man I spoke on a couple of weeks ago on the pod, and he has been outstanding the last few weeks. 54 points, break even of 8. So he's making some real cash. If we just go in and have a look here. So made 45K last week. I think I picked him up a couple of weeks ago. Potentially it was for this Cronulla game, I think, after the bye. So I think he's made a bit of money here, which is great to see. So look, that's 79K thus far in a couple of rounds, and he's definitely going to make a bit of money this week. Jake Turbo out with that HIA, so I think Tavanga's in for another good game this week. Definitely get him in if you're keen, and he should continue to do well. Look, he's got a solid floor around like 35 to like 45 points, and the price point he's at, there's still a bit of money to be made if he can keep churning out around 45 to 55 point scores. So Hopewadi, look, solid performance from him, but I'm not going out and saying buying him. Cherry Evans, 52 points. That was a better performance from Cherry Evans. So yeah, we'll see what happens there, but he is playing Origin, so he will not be playing this week. Ola Kawatu, look, 49 points for Ola Kawatu. A solid performance considering, again, how scrappy the game was, and he didn't really touch the ball that much. So, look, we will take that from Ola Kawatu, 49 points. Not the end of the world. I believe he is in the New South Wales Blues squad. He is our 20th man, so he should still be able to be released and play for Manly this weekend. So if you got Ola Kawatu, hold on to him, and he should get you a really good score this week. What else have we got? Robson's been a bit average, but if you still got him, hold on to him. Didden's playing Origin. What else have we got here? Nanai didn't have his greatest performance, only 28 points from Nanai, but they Cowboys actually got the bye this week, and also he is playing State of Origin as well. Laybut returned to first grade, got 27 points, wasn't too bad at all. Look, there's a couple of players we need to talk about here, and that is Jackson Purdue. First game playing 5'8" in the NRL, and didn't really have the best game. Didn't set the world on fire, that's for sure, as he has done over basically the first 10 weeks of the season playing in the centers. So, look, 22 points on the weekend. He's got the bye. I will see if I can try and get his break even, though, from another avenue. Doesn't look likely, unfortunately. So, I think with the bye, why did I even try and, pardon me, type him in there? Because I'm not going to get it that way, because he is in our side. But yeah, look, buy for Purgy this week. I think hold. Look, you can't really sell him off one performance at 5'8". So hold on to Jackson Purgy. He'll bounce back next week. Now, Scotty Drinkwater is the next man. Only 18 points for Drinkwater in 80 minutes. Look, he's been really, really good the past month or so, but unfortunately on the weekend he was not very good. I said very scrappy affair. Look, missed a lot of tackles, 4 missed tackles, had an error as well. So look, if you've got Drinkwater, definitely hold. I know he doesn't play this week, but hold on to Drinky. He'll bounce back. Gerbo, we just touched on before, concussion. He won't be playing this weekend. I don't think any people have Turbo, but if you do, he is a sell. And then the last man, Tommy Trbojevic, 2 points. I can't believe I'm saying this. Tom Trbojevic, 2 points. He had 2 tackles, 114 run meters. He had 4 kick defusals, and I think he had 1 turnover tackle. Made 6 errors. There could have been a few tries in there for Tommy Turbo, but unfortunately, look, Manly are saying that he's healthy, but I just don't think he's healthy. The way he's moving, I know he copped one there, a bit of a cork to the groin. I think Turbo's going to bounce back, but I know he plays this week as well. But break even a 65, and he got two. Until he sort of turns it around and gets that break even sort of square, I'd much be rather going, paying an extra few dollars. To think we could be potentially getting Tom Toroyevich at 400k or maybe less in a couple of weeks' time is just absolutely ridiculous to think. Lost 266k for the season. So on to the next game. The Sharks versus the Storm. Look, a great game here. Fanua Blake, 80 points. Definitely a great option. I think Tarpany and Fanua Blake. And look, if you held on to Horsburgh, he didn't get picked in Origin, pardon me. So, look, they're all great middle options, as well as someone like an Aaron Clark. If you want someone cheaper, Jazz Tavanga is a great option as well. 80 points from Fanua Blake. He did play probably a few more minutes than he would do due to a few injuries there for Cronulla in Stone Street and Ramian. Look, he did play inflated minutes, but he is still a gun. So, look, if you're keen on need a middle, get Fanua Blake in. Cameron Munster, unreal performance from Cameron Munster, 76 points. But just like his teammate, who also had a really good performance, Trent Liero, 76 and 61 respectively, but they're both respectively, they are both out this week due to Origin commitments for Queensland. So, look, no go there. KL Iro, he continues his try-scoring feast, or feat, should I say, basically scored in every single game that he's played thus far this season. 58 points. Look, a great center option. You've got Garrick, Iro, and also Herbie Farnworth. I think Farnworth's definitely the most expensive and the best option, but Iro and Garrick are great options too. Nico Hines continues to put out some really good performances. Look, 55 points. Hasn't really got anything to set the world on fire. I think like his best is like a 60, 65 thus far this season. I'll just quickly have a gaze here. Look, basically his best is 74. So that was back in round 3. So look at his last couple of scores. Look, 51, 56, 60, 59, 51, 55. You'll take that every day of the week. Great option, Nico Hines. Eli Katoa, look, the Storm don't play this week, unlike the Sharkies. So, look, if you've got Katoa, he's been going great. Hold on to him. Same as if you've got McInnes. McInnes has been good. Hold on to him. Xavier Coates, wow, what a try using poor old Dan Atkinson as a step ladder there to take one of the great takes in NRL history, a real specky. The AFL will really be eating their heart out at that. Great try. Look, Harry Grant made his return, only played 55 minutes, but looked busy. 38 points from him. He'll be great to pick up after the Origin period. Just looking through here. Look, Britton Nickera, 31 points. He's really hasn't set the world on fire this season and been a bit down to his previous or last couple of years. So look, for me, I definitely wouldn't be buying Britton Nickera. I think those likes of those guys that I touched on before, Pierce Paul, Kickow, and Hoskins, etc., are some better options there for you. Just having a look. Pappenhausen, Storm of the bye this week. He got 100 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately last week only got 22. So still, I think a good option to pick up after the next bye round as they play the round 18 bye round. Same as his teammate Jerome Hughes, unfortunately had 60 points a couple of weeks ago, and then just like Pappenhausen, only got 19. So had a really average performance to what he's been putting up thus far the last couple of weeks, should I say. In terms of the rest of the teams there, not really much to talk about there with those rest of those players. On to the Broncos, my Broncos. Geez, doing ourselves no favors the last couple of weeks, or basically the last month and a bit. We've only won, one of our last 6 games. So, yeah, not good at all for the Bronx. But look, Gutho was outstanding for the Red V. Not saying go and buy him. They've got the buy anyway. But look, great performance from Gutho. Payne Haas, he did suffer, unfortunately, a minor quad injury, but he's been named for the Blues and most likely will play. He'll have a very easy week and should start to run on Monday for the Blues. And then we'll see if he's out. I'd say Stefano, who's 18th man, will come in to the side. Damien Cook had a really, really good performance. And Ezra Mam, what a return for Ezra Mam. He was outstanding. I'm not saying go and buy Ezra Mam, but definitely one to watch. He's basically shown in the past that he's a really good NRL player, but when it comes to fantasy, he's not really the best. So while he did set the world on fire, the Broncos don't play this week, and I'd just be having a watch in that regard. Carrigan suffered a head injury or a lip injury at the end of that game. He's all good for Origin being named, but look, just like Haas, the Broncos don't play this week and they're playing Origin, so hold on to him. Val Holmes had a great game, 60 points from him. Don't think he's really a buy, and he's also playing Origin as well. Both these teams are on the buy this week. Shibasaki had a real interesting one. Look, fantasy-wise, it looks absolutely outstanding, but IRL, he didn't have the greatest performance. Look, the good one here as well, Hamish Stewart, 51 points from Hamish Stewart in 60 minutes. So that is really, really good to see. And he could be a really big buy now with the unfortunate injury to a player we'll touch on shortly. Jacob Little, another great performance from Lightning Little in around 50 minutes. So great work from him. Reynolds is just continuing on, missed a few tackles there. He doesn't play this week. If you've still got Reynolds, you can definitely hold. But if you need someone for this week, I'd definitely be moving to, say, a Matt Burton. I think we're going to start to see the best from Burton over the coming weeks. Fantasy-wise, look, Wilson was definitely a solid option a few weeks ago because we thought he was potentially playing 80 on the edge. That hasn't really worked out. He's not getting horrible scores, but not really getting scores to justify that price point. I'd be moving him to, say, a Jazz Tavanga. Cobbo, look, didn't get picked for Origin, but his scans came back all clear. 29 points for him. Definitely, I think, now with not playing Origin. But look, the Broncos' bye schedule is not that great, so doesn't play this week. Don't be getting him. Look, King Togia didn't have his greatest performance, only 16 points, but hold on, Tim. He's only cheap. He'll get better next week. And Pia Kura had the negative 15 break even, only managed to 12. It didn't only play it well. He played 49 minutes, just really didn't get much ball attacking wise, and didn't see much attack on his side of the field. So, look, if you've still got Corey Pakes, get rid of him. Mariners not really doing that great either. Look, the big talking point is, unfortunately, scans confirmed today, Dylan Egan suffered an ACL injury, so he is out for the rest of the season. So very, very sad, but Egan has to go. So move to a couple of those players that I've touched on, your Hoskins, your Pierce Pauls, those type of guys, get them into your team. On to the second last game is the Raiders took on the Titans. Xavier Savage scored his first NRL hat-trick, I believe. He was outstanding, 74 points. Look, 312K. I think this is a one-off performance from Savage. I wouldn't be going and getting him this week. You can if you want to, but yeah, I wouldn't be getting Savage. I think this was just a one-off performance. Hudson Young continues to just gobble. He scores again, 73 points. Unfortunately named for Origin, so won't play this week. But if you have him, you've definitely got to hold on to him. Smithies with another great performance from Morgan Smithies. I don't think he is a buy because I think this could be a one-off as well. Let me just have a look quickly before I just say if it's a one-off. I think he's actually been all right, the cut part. No, yeah, definitely a one-off judging on that performance. So, yeah, don't buy Smithies. Fodawaker and Tino, both great performances from them, but unfortunately both out with Origin, and the Titans have the bye this week. KO Weeks had a great performance, but he's a bit too hot and cold for my liking, so I wouldn't be getting in KO Weeks, but congratulations on an outstanding performance from Weeks. Timoko, should I say, had a good performance as well, but I'd rather go someone like a Garrick or a Herbie Farnworth, one of those type of guys, or a KL Hero. Get one of those guys in. Tarpany did himself no issues at all if you got him in. 58 points from him in 50 minutes. Played a bit less minutes than he has the past few weeks, potentially maybe due to the scoreline or Ricky wanting to ease him back or ease him this week and not play as many minutes. But look, 58 points, you would take that every day of the week. Big Red, lovely performance from Big Red, 57 points in 54 minutes from him. And the big thing is with Big Red, he didn't get named in Origin, so a great option. If you've still got him, well done. That is really, really special. Zach Hoskins, 52 points from him. We touched on him in the buy, hold, sell. He is a great option to get into your side and will continue to gobble on that. I think the right edge there for the Raiders. Jamal Fogarty, look, he continues to be a great option and a great servant for the all-out team. 51 points from him. A good option if you need a half this week as well. But I'd probably say Matt Burton, I think, is the best half to get in fantasy-wise this week. Jaden Campbell, look, he's got the bye this week, 49 points. He'll be very thankful for that bye round, I think, and he should come back all guns blazing after this week in round 13. Bo Firma, congratulations, Bo. Picked for State of Origin, 45 points from him. Look, he just plodded along, did his work. Same as Sevilla Tamale. Both of these guys are hold. Same with Fogarty and Campbell if you have those guys. Look, Fogarty and Tamale makes sense. They're playing this week. You just hold on to those guys that are playing this week. No point trading out someone unless they're injured if their team's playing this week. Foran made his return. Good to see him get through 80 minutes. Had a pretty solid performance from Kieran Foran. Brimson moved back to the back, but unfortunately didn't really set his fantasy points alight. Only got 35 points, but it's good to see him at the back. If you still got him, I'd hold on to him there with him now back at fullback. In regards to that, everything else there, not really fantasy relevant. On to the last game, and Tyrrell May, he really did. He talked the talk and he walked the walk. 109 points from Tyrrell May, 63 tackles, 0 missed, six tackle busts, 2 offloads to hand, 1 turnover tackle, and just under 200 meters. And Coruscant, outstanding as well. What a goosey he put on Latrell. Broke his ankles, beat him all ends up, but Latrell got the last laugh with the win. But yeah, Coruscant, looked great performance from him. But unfortunately, the Tigers do not play in this bye round. So just like Tyrrell May didn't get picked for Origin, both of those guys. Basically, these top 4 options are, well, everyone should have Tyrrell May, but Coruscant, Kulamatangi, and Aiken could be ones to watch over the coming weeks. Look, 103 from Coruscant, 81 from Keon Kulamatangi playing in the middle, 286 run meters, outstanding from him. 72 points from Mix Pod. He did say in our little community chat to get in Ewan Aiken, 72 points from him. So that is absolutely outstanding. So if you need an edge, Aiken is your guy. He has played center a couple of times this season, but unfortunately hasn't got the duel yet. So Seyfarth continues to plod along nicely. Humphreys had a great game, or a lot better game than he did in his return from injury. Latrell was great, but unfortunately he's been selected for Origin. Campbell Graham's in the New South Wales squad as well, had a solid performance there. Who else have we got fantasy-wise? Lockie Galvin only had 37 points for Galvin. Did get sin-binned as well, so not the greatest performance from him. Hubner, if you still owned him, look, I think he's a sell, but you can hold on to him. But I would potentially sell. Only 33 points and only played 37 minutes. So considering the minutes, not too bad, but yeah, he's got to go. In regards to the rest of it, not really that many fantasy options. If you still have Stafford Toa, I would be getting rid of him. He has to go. That only 22 points, and he did get hooked early. I'm not exactly sure why, but he was hooked early. Now, let's discuss all the injuries from the round that just was. We'll go to the NRL Physio's profile here. And as we can see, so Stone Street out for 6 to 8 weeks. Egan's out for the season. Stephen Crichton is unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, he's good to go for Origin. He's being monitored. You can see Cobbo's being cleared of that wrist fracture and will be monitored during the week. Carrigan's all right. He's had treatment on his lip and should be good to go. Haas, minor quad strain, as you can see here, minor quad injury. He'll be on a modified training load and should be good to go for Origin 1. Cobbo's all good. That's in regards to Carrigan there. Murray Taulagi, I'm not sure how long he's out for, but he has suffered a calf injury. What else have we got here? Egan. Kiraz is out for a month with a calf injury. Riley Smith is, he should be good to go this week. He just had a calf cork and should be good to go this week. Stone Street, we just touched on. Jake Turbo's out with concussion. We haven't heard official word yet on Tom Gilbert, but he's got a potential left pec injury. Jacob Saifidi is out for a few weeks at least, so he's out of Origin selection. I think Nafu White's out for 3 weeks. Dylan Lucas could be in a bit of doubt this week after suffering, it looks like a bit of shoulder instability. He could be played this week, but he could miss it as well. We'll have to wait for tomorrow. Bradman Best is unfortunately out for a couple of months with that hamstring injury at training. So, look, it could be less than that, but they're saying originally a couple of months. And that's about it in regards to the injury front. Now, with the all-out team this week, you can see from last week we got 950 points. Look, great performance all around. Had some couple of average performances. We finally got the right captain in Tyrrell May there. So 218 points from him was huge. The Egan 0 points really didn't help us at all. And then a pretty average performance from Purdue. But look, we got to take that 950 and we're set really well. As you can see here for round 12, Riley Smith will be named. We've got 12 players at the moment with Tyrrell May out. Look, we've got Egan that we need to sell, so potentially we could downgrade to someone like a Jazz Tavanga, or we could make a couple of trades and get in. Look, we could even make a couple of moves to potentially trade out Kiraz and get in Teddy. Look, there's a couple of options we could get in, but look, Lucas could play as well, so he will probably be one that could come into the team as well. Look, it's great. We've got 12 starting at the moment, and we've got Ayongi and Lucas on the bench. So that's 14 in total, but we still need a middle. So we need a middle to be able to field the full complement of 13. 17 trades to go. It's starting to get a bit dicey. We do get those 8 trades after round 20, but that is starting to get a bit dicey on that front. So no, look, only a few games this week. So we got Bulldogs versus Dolphins, Eels versus Manly, Panthers taking on the Knights, Roosters versus Cronulla, and then we also have the Wars taking on the Raiders to finish off the round. So basically, you want to be getting in players that play this week. So any of those teams that I just listed, get those guys in. But in that regard, that's really it on the fantasy front. And just lastly, look, the State of Origin next Wednesday night, the Maroons taking on the Blues. Look, Blues heavy favourites after the teams have dropped. Firstly, for Queensland, Ponga, Coates, Toya, Hammer, Val, Munster, Cherry Evans, Fodawaker, Grant, Tino, Cotter, Nanai, Carrigan, Dearden, Collins, Firma, Liero. I don't know why we've named Cotter in the second row. I will touch on that as after I get through this. And we got Mann, Arthurs, and Fine Fukiaki. Look, I just personally just have Firma starting and Cotter on the bench, but I think what's going to happen is Cotter's going to start in the middle there, play around like 20 minutes, potentially move to prop or come off, and then Firma will come in on the edge there. So Look, I don't mind the team. I love Robert Toyer getting his debut there in the centres, like I touched on earlier. But look, a pretty strong side there from Queensland. I think the only noticeable admission that I would definitely have in my 17 is I'd definitely have Corey Horsburgh over, unfortunately, the likes of Trent Liera. I'm happy for Liera to be in the squad, but I would just personally myself have Corey Horsburgh there on the bench. Bit of a bigger body there with you looking at our bench. There's only really Lindsay Collins as a big body there. So we will be heavily relying on Tino and Carrigan and those guys, Mo Fodawaker, to really lift the load there in the middle of the field. Now, the Blues, Edwards, Toto, Crichton, Mitchell, Lomax, Moses, Cleary, Barnett, Robson, Haas, Martin, Crichton, Yo, Watson, Lenu, Young, King, and then they got Graham, Stefano, and Olakawatu there on the reserves there as the 18th man. Look, I think the only change for me, I'm so glad for Max King, and I really do think he deserves a jersey, but I just think Tyrrell May's been playing way too good. I think he should be there on the bench, if not starting with Barnett off the bench, as Barnett can play in the second row as well. I think everything else from that I'm pretty happy with. Coruscant did have a really good game there last night, but for me, I think it's fair enough. Robson has been pretty good most part of the year. But yeah, for me, Tyrrell May is the big exclusion there from the Blues. And I think if you're just looking at the team list, you can sort of understand why the odds are how they are. So look, can't wait for next Wednesday. I will be there. Basically, if you guys are there, feel free to come and see me. I'll be there with Wobble and Jaw Sports. But look, that's really it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the second installment of Monday Night with Dor, round 11 edition. And we will see you next week for the third installment, should I say, of Monday Night with Dor for round 12, the major buy review. So we will see you then. Catch you guys and go the Maroons.